Good morning, everybody. How are y'all doing? Thank you. My name is Remy Tallow, and I use she, her pronouns. I serve as one of the Board of Trustee members, and I'm happy to welcome you to the Tahoma Unitarian Universalist congregation. Longtime members and new visitors alike, you are welcome here. Whether you're joining us online or in the sanctuary, we're glad you're here. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders, and love is the power that holds us together. We are growing, we're all learning, all loved. You are welcome just as you are. If this is your first time with us, I bid you a special welcome. I'm so glad you found your way to our community. After the service, I'll be in the back of the sanctuary over in that area. If you'd like to ask any questions or about Unitarian Universalism or our congregation, or if you'd like to ask how to get involved in our community. For those of you here in the sanctuary, we have hearing assistance devices in the back over there and large print hymnals available in the back of the sanctuary. Our ushers can help you with these. For our services this morning, our online chat chaplain will help guide our online folks. And for those of us on site, we'll be utilizing the screen behind me to project words of our in unison readings and lyrics for our hymns. You can also follow along with the printed order of service. You can find information on our website, tahomauu.com. Please be sure to read the weekly e-news for important information about our congregation, upcoming events, and volunteer opportunities. If you aren't signed up yet for the e-news, you can do that today on our website so you don't miss a thing. There's a lot of stuff happening here at Tahoma U, and I'd like to highlight a few announcements. First of all, we have our lay pastoral care team has been resurrected with members David Hackett, Tanya Baker, and Susan Kunkel. We're in the process of establishing a new email address where members of our congregation can get assistance with rides, meals, or just a friendly ear. If you have something now, find us at one of our Sunday services. Could y'all raise your hands? Thanks. Our next announcement we have is, well, I guess I'll let Patty come up here and do that for y'all.
Good morning, all. As we have been enjoying this artwork over the past month, because of scheduling, we weren't able to have the reception earlier, but it will be taking place today. You'll get the opportunity to talk to the artist, to ask questions, and to learn more about her and the artwork. She also has some tiles that she's made based on these paintings, and those will be available at a special price to this congregation on this day. So take a look at those. They're really wonderful. It's a good way to have that bright spark of color. And I look forward to seeing all of you at the back of the sanctuary shortly after coffee time. Thank you.
Okay. One last time, you can check the e-news for more information about these events and many ways to become more involved and deeply connected with our spiritual community. You're also invited to join us for a social hour immediately following the service right here in the sanctuary. There will be coffee and refreshments right over here. We have red mugs if you'd like to be social, or if you're pretty antisocial like myself, just pick up a normal white mug and do what you want to do. All right. As we begin our service, I respectfully acknowledge that I speak to you today from the land of the Coast Salish people, including the Puyallup tribal nation, land from which they were forcibly displaced. I affirm the continued sovereignty of the 574 federally recognized tribes, including the 29 here in Washington, and I support those still fighting for federal recognition. I acknowledge the theft, violence, trauma, and racism that Indigenous people have experienced at the hands of colonizers from 1492 through the present day. I honor the resiliency of the Indigenous people and stand with them as they continue to fight for land, water, visibility, sovereignty, and their very existence. Now, before I do the last little thing in the gong, Reverend Crystal has left everyone a goodbye message video that will be playing near the end of the service. From there, lastly, friends, I invite you to set your electronic devices to worship mode. We're gathered here, one community together. Let us settle ourselves into this holy moment and open our hearts and unlearn, or to learn and unlearn, to share and receive.
Good morning. So I'm the Reverend Michael Walker. I am a UU minister. I've done interims all over the country. And I've done hiatus from ministry while I work on a doctorate. And every once in a while, I'm honored to be asked to come and be a guest speaker of our congregations. Thank you. I'm glad to be here. Come on in. Take shelter from a weary world. Come and I'm not sure that my headset's working. Come on in. Our tech people will work for a second. Give me a thumbs up when we're ready. Okay. Here we gather to be inspired on our journeys. Here we support and care for one another. Here we organize for justice and equity. Every week we light a flaming chalice as a beacon of freedom and a symbol of our liberal faith. And we light it in solidarity with many others around the country and the world, all who journey with us as a faith community, working to make the world a better place. May it ever be so, and blessed be you all.
All right, I'd like to invite Mary Claire up to light our chalice. Thank you. And if you will join with me in reading our words. We light this chalice in deep respect for the mystery and holiness of life, in honor and gratitude for those who have gone before, with love and compassion for those who dwell among us, and with hope and faith for the generations to come. Thank you. All right, if you will rise in body or spirit for hymn 34, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire, words will be behind. Right, it is now time for all ages. We have a video today, so if anybody who is young or young of spirit would like to come up, I would suggest you sit either on the side so that you can see the monitor or the screen behind me. And today's is Kids of Different Religions Describe God.
I think God's and Buddhist fart.
I am Sarah, and I am 10 years old.
I'm 4, and I'm Toby.
By law, I'm Jewish, but I don't know if I necessarily believe in it.
I believe in Buddhism. I believe in God.
For me, it's a really big maybe. Part of me believes in God a lot, and a part of me definitely doesn't. Because maybe there is someone upstairs, you know, making great things happen and sprinkling magic on the world. And then you see such bad stuff happen, and you see kids get cancer, and you're like, you doubt or you question God.
We have this thing called gunyam. It's kind of like God, but it's like Chinese.
In my religion, we call him Allah.
He helps people. God is love. I think God has a sweet, soft voice.
I think he would sound like hoy.
I think since he's lived so long, it's kind of washed out. I should make good things happen to the world. This sounds so creepy, like a horror movie.
I think it sounds loud. He sounds like really kind, I think. Well, hello? You can see him on the ground, on his legs, and on his feet. I think God is in the sky. I pray to the gunyam to bring us good luck and support my family. Usually what I wish for, I'd like to spend time with my mom all day.
I want to have confidence in God. If they control all of us, I want to have confidence that I don't need to pray and tell them to do it. I think they should make great things happen and really prevent the really bad, terrible things.
One time I went outside and I prayed to God so I could have flowers.
If there is a God, what is it? Like, what do they look like?
God looks like a person.
Maybe God's a woman, or maybe God doesn't identify as a gender.
They're usually gold or white. I think God will have green eyes.
Why do I always think of wearing a hoodie?
I'm drawing him clothes. I don't really know if he has clothes because I can't draw him naked.
Who's wearing his masculine God t-shirt. Gotta put that God on there.
Put some jewelry on his head.
He's in his hoodie, so we're not going to be able to see his hair, guys. I don't think he has hair. I think, it's hard to keep having hair if you've been alive for, this many millions of years. He's kind of self-conscious about not having hair.
This one's shaped like a monkey.
I just would hope that he would look like a regular person.
God is a big cat on legs. His hands are very long and big. I know how to make hands, really. Make this circle. Because my hands are a circle, see?
I don't think he looks like anyone I know.
I think he wears, those swag green pants. Very cool green pants, make him a little more colorful. He's got those sick Nikes on.
He has a beard.
He has orange hair and green eyes. He's big, and he always sits down. He looks kind of funny.
He has a blue shirt and blue pants and very hairy arms.
I just would like you to think of God, a man or a woman or whatever you want to think of God as, happiness. You should have a big smile when you think of God. And wearing those sick Nikes,
Thank you for letting me be in this world.
The world goes round because all these different people have different beliefs in God, and I love that. But I don't think that their belief should cause wars. This could be someone fiction. This could be someone man-made. I love that everyone has a different view of God and different beliefs in God, but I don't think it should cause so much commodity or a war. I really don't.
All right, if you will join with me and form an arch, we will sing our children out. Hold you in our love as you go. May your heart be at peace as you go. To nurture the spark of your precious life, we hold you in our love as you go.
And now is our time, our invitation to generosity. Folks tuning in at home online, you can donate to Tahoma UU by clicking on www.tahomauu.com and going to the tab that says donate or a button, whatever it is. Those of you in the sanctuary have a choice. You can also go online, or you can use the baskets that are being passed around in the sanctuary, and leave you with words from my favorite poet, John Lennon, who said, "Imagine all the people sharing all the world." Now's the time.
Thank you. All right. If you'll join with me in dedicating our offering. We dedicate ourselves and our offerings to the work of this congregation, weaving a tapestry of love we call community, both within and beyond these walls. And we'll remain seated for this hymn. We'll sing 1009 in the teal hymnal, Meditation on Breathing.
We are going to sing through 5 times. The first time we're going to sing the drone, and anybody who wants to stay on the drone, you're welcome to do so. And then we're going to move to the melody, and if you want to stay on the melody for the next 4 times, you're welcome to do so. And then I will jump to the descant at some point. So 5 times in all. Pick your favorite part. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love.
Perhaps you've heard of kids sending letters to the North Pole. Did you know, though, that some people also write letters to God and mail them to Jerusalem, where other people then take those letters and insert them into the Wailing Wall? It's true. I'm not going to mail my letter to Jerusalem, but I'm going to share it with you. I would bet that there are some here who do not believe in God. There are some who do, but don't think of all that is holy as a supernatural being who's paying attention to our personal lives. And there are probably those here who do talk to God and believe that he or she does answer. During my formation as a minister to be in seminary, I underwent some gentle mental gymnastics regarding the nature of God when I used concepts from Jungian psychology to explain my understanding of the divine, as using that as an alternative to the traditional Christian theologians, like Karl Barth or Paul Tillich or Gustavo Gutierrez or even Matthew Fox, although I admit I had more in common with Fox. But my theology and yours, important as they may be to each of us, is not actually all that relevant today. For this sermon, I'm asking that we approach our topic as a mental exercise, considering various what-ifs. What if God is real? What if God is aware of events around here? What if I could communicate with God? What then? Do I have something to say to God about what's happening in our lives or in the world? What if I could give God a piece of my mind? What then? And so, my letter begins. Dear God, I don't know whether or not you read your own mail, but I thought I'd write to share some of my thoughts with you. If you care to know my thoughts, perhaps you can give this letter a gander as you're enjoying your morning Starbucks. Or is that just me projecting my own persona onto you? Maybe you don't even like Starbucks. And I don't know if writing this letter is really going to work. I mean, really, I must have sent 5 or 6 letters to Santa Claus when I was a kid, and that dude never wrote back. Not even once. By the way, how should I address you? You know, there's been a movement in some faith communities about using inclusive language. That's how some UUs and liberal Christians ended up with prayers that start off with Mother, Father, God, if you were wondering where that came from. The thought is that if we are all made in your image, then your image must encompass us all in all of our shapes and colors, genders, and abilities. Somewhere along the line, some of us came to the conclusion that we don't know, and we even heard this with the kids in the video, we don't know if you are male or female, both, or none of the above. Some of us realize that many names are used for you around the world, and we don't really know if one or another is actually the right one. And when it comes down to it, I'm not sure it matters. But what do you think, God? Regardless of what name we use for you, when I was a kid, I and my family prayed to you daily. Even so, I was really never sure that you heard me. I was taught that praying to you would help me through life. But when I was 5 years old and my baby brother died, I didn't understand how you were helping us. When I look at things happening now, I suppose I still don't know how you are helping. So that's really why I'm writing to you. Perhaps there are things happening that you just aren't aware of. I imagine that you're pretty busy, so perhaps you delegated stuff on earth to someone else. If so, I hesitate to report that they may be slacking. You know, thinking of my brother, my brother's illness was encephalitis, and perhaps it could have been treated if only someone had figured that out soon enough. It turns out that doctors treating babies have an extra challenge because their patients cannot verbalize what they're feeling. And as it turns out, I'm sad to say, I have several times been asked in the course of my ministry to sit with a young couple mourning the loss of an infant. And it has always been very difficult for me to find words that can truly comfort in that situation. Perhaps next time, dear God, you can give me some words that will actually help. As you probably know, one of my personal concerns for most of my adult life has been healthcare and how access to that is affected by race, class, geography, and even religion. In recent years, we have been trying to recover from the worldwide pandemic of coronavirus, for which we were woefully unprepared. It is a virus that targets the most vulnerable among us and oftentimes the poorest without access to adequate health care coverage. As I think about my lifelong concern about why we do not have health care for all, perhaps my first brush with the conflict between medicine and faith came in high school when I found a new friend in one who was blind. It turns out that her parents came from one of those denominations that believe that prayer is the only biblically allowed medicine. And as a small child, my friend acquired an infection that was easily treatable by modern medicine, but her parents refused and their daughter went blind. They allowed this out of their belief in your power and judgment, O God. Was that something you actually sanctioned? Or was their belief misguided? Or what? What was it? Somehow I doubt you choose to make innocents suffer for no reason. But those parents seem to think so. For what it's worth, I'm glad to note that and some will disagree with me on this, but I'm glad to note that in more recent years, families that in my mind, endanger their children by refusing well-tested medical treatments have been overruled by the state. But there are still those who would object, saying this is overreach and interference into the deeply held religious beliefs of some. God, what do we say to those people? And should the religious beliefs of parents be allowed to dictate what happens to their children, especially when the effects will be lifelong? I wonder if it's possible that advances in medicine might actually be sanctioned by you, for all we know. And if so, how do we teach that to those who have a different viewpoint? This is a question that I faced many times in my previous career as a nurse, and even as a minister now, I still don't know the answer. Another form of health that I wonder about is the health of the environment. Some people may know this about me, but those who don't may find it funny that I have long had a fascination for amphibians, frogs and toads, newts and salamanders. I have plenty of tchotchkes of frogs and related critters that people have given me over the years, but I'm a little concerned about the real-life ones. Scientists have learned that these little animals have a biological process called cellular respiration, in which they breathe, so to speak, through their wet skin. And because of this, when there are pollutants in their water, they breathe that in as well. And so we've started to see various species of amphibians dying off, and some see that as a sort of a canary in the coal mine situation. I'm sad to note that pollutants generally find their way into waterways and the atmosphere through the malpractice or negligence of humans for the most part. Do you have any advice, God, on what to do about that? Some have wondered if natural disasters are your response to some perceived wrong. Others say that they are a product of climate change caused by the same pollutants discharged into the environment. Maybe it's a little of both, or I don't know. I'm happy to note, however, that once in a while, scientists report the discovery of some previously unknown species. A few years ago, we learned of several new species of frogs in South America. Were they there all along, and we just didn't know it? Or did they recently evolve? And while I'm thinking of it, God, can you answer this one big question? Is a belief in the divine and a belief in evolution really mutually exclusive? I'm just wondering. To change the subject, if I may, God, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you about war, too often carried out in your name. In history, whether it be called crusade or jihad or some other name for a so-called holy war, not to mention all of the unholy wars, people have died. What has this accomplished? In various wars, hundreds, thousands, in some cases, millions of people have died, and I have to ask why. Although the religions of the world have different names for you, God, if you are there, are you not the most holy for all people? And if so, why must we fight over you? Or is this idea just reductive thinking on my part? I don't know, perhaps you're not one God at all, or perhaps you're not really there, or you're not really paying attention to our wars, or you're not really listening or reading my letter. I just don't know. And in this place of not knowing, I'm left feeling helpless in a world that seems to be perpetually at war. God, what do we do about this? Well, if you will humor me, I have this idea. It's pretty radical. That instead of declaring war, we should call on our nations to declare peace as a matter of course. Make it a thing in our culture, in our systems of government, and in our societies. I ask you, God, what would happen to the powerless if the powerful took a moral stand and declared peace? I ask this because of my past experience. You see, I'm a veteran, which of course means that I spent a period of service in my nation's military. Me, the pacifist, socialist, pagan, queer, actually served on active duty. Yes, God, it's true, I did. Maybe you already knew that. My reason for serving was not out of a sense of patriotic duty or because I wanted to go out and fight wars. Rather, I joined for mostly career, college, and other personal reasons. In the end, my veterans benefits paid for most of my seminary education. But prior to that, during my time in service, I met many people who I would dare say felt powerless. Many such young people enlisted in order to give themselves a chance at life, a chance to escape a rural farming existence or an industry on the edge of bankruptcy, or to get out of turf wars in the ganglands of inner cities. For some, service was an opportunity to earn money for college, help in buying a house, or to just see the world. When I hear from my fellow liberals that those who join the military are warmongers, I happen to know that that's generally not true. No, I believe most of the warmongers, if there are such, reside in the halls of power. They who declare wars or send out troops for undeclared wars will not themselves fight in the trenches or walk the deck plates of our ships. The powerful and the powerless have never had such a deep gulf as the one I have seen between governments and their militaries. Outside of the military, we have also found powerless people as private citizens, whose homes just happen to be in a war zone. Too often they did not want the war, but they would rather live in peace themselves. The people are victims of powerful people who have never set eyes on them and never will, O God. Did you know? Did you know that was happening? There also seems to be a metaphorical war happening in our deeply divided nation. In the recent era, we've seen a growing dissatisfaction about life for some people. This led to an unexpected reality in which it seems that, at times it seems that vulgarity and racism have taken up residence in the halls of power in our nation, and this bothers me to no end. Over the years, I've heard people declare that they vote based on their beliefs of what you, God, would want. With that said, I just cannot imagine that what is currently happening in our country was in any way part of your plan. Please tell me it was not, because I just don't know how I would deal if it turned out that he who shall not be named is actually carrying out your plan for the country. It seems more likely to me that those who purport to lead do so without any real connection to you or to the people they serve, for that matter. Perhaps that is where we should start when declaring peace. Maybe we should start with the half of our country who feel deeply unsatisfied with life. At the same time, God, I'm grateful for beloved leaders who put the nation and the world above themselves, even if that means stepping aside. And I'm grateful for leaders who step forward when the moment calls for them to do so. May such decisions promote healing in our country. But speaking more broadly than just one political party, can we just find ways to help our elected leaders declare peace and learn to work together? Can you make that happen, God? Sooner would be better than later, if I may say so. Okay, just so I don't end my letter to you on a sour note, I'm also grateful for many things. First, I'm thankful for my family and my friends and that they are hale and hearty. I'm grateful for this congregation and our denomination and all that we collectively stand for. Thank you, God, for my life, my love, my health, and that for all of you. And thank you for my call to ministry that's allowed me to touch the lives of other people, hopefully bringing hope and healing in their times of need. I also appreciate the democratic process, even if I'm not always happy with the results. And I'm glad for the growing knowledge in our society that the planet we live on and what it needs to also be healthy. Finally, I would be most grateful for any guidance on how to deal with some of the problems I've shared with you in this letter. Thank you, God. Sincerely, Mike. So writing this letter was an interesting exercise, even if it goes no further than to the ears of you who are listening today. I ask you to consider what you feel are the big issues in your life or in the world, and consider what you have to be grateful for. If you could write a letter to God, what would you say? If this were like writing a member of Congress, in which letters of many people expressing the same opinion might sway that legislator, then maybe it takes the letters or prayers of many people to change things in the world. With that said, I also believe our letters and prayers must be linked to the work of our hands. For surely nothing ever changed without some effort on our part. Perhaps in the formulation of your prayers or the writing of your letters, as it were, it will become clear what work of your hands may make a difference. Thank you, and blessed be. I'd like to invite you to rise in body or in spirit as we sing hymn number 323 in the gray hymnal, Break Not the Circle. Our work to help to heal the world is what we do out there. In here, even in this sanctuary you have all co-created. We come to recharge, so we are energized to go back out and work some more. Our sacred calling as spiritual people is to build a beloved community within and beyond the church's four walls. Let us do this sacred work together. It takes more than writing a letter. It takes more than wishing upon a star. It requires elbow grease and the sweat off our brows. And yes, let us do this sacred work together and return here later to recharge together again. May it ever be so, and blessed be you all.
Before we extinguish our chalice today, we're going to share a short video from Reverend Crystal to say goodbye.
Good morning, friends. I am Reverend Crystal Zerfas, and I use she, her pronouns. I'm a Caucasian woman with short, dirty blonde hair. I'm wearing a dark purple button-down shirt with a rainbow bow tie. Behind me is a square quilt with a rainbow flaming chalice pattern on it, and next to me is my lit chalice. As many of you know, I've been away on medical leave since the middle of January. It's been difficult to be away from you all, and I understand that it's been challenging for you as a community to have your minister away for an extended period of time. This unfortunate series of events has come at a particularly challenging time for us as we have been adjusting to the shift from full-time ministry to half-time ministry, from full-time staff to part-time staff, and recovering from other changes and losses from the early pandemic years. There has been a lot of transition and change recently. And now, at the conclusion of our first year together, in what we had planned to be a long-term relationship, sadly, we are now coming to the end of our time together in ministry. Soon I will bid you farewell as your minister. As our Board of Trustees recently announced, my contract with Tahoma Unitarian Universalist Congregation concludes on July 31st, this coming Wednesday. And they have decided to seek new leadership moving forward. I celebrate the good, loving work we have done together. And I thank you for sharing this part of your journey with me. I am truly grateful for my time here with you, for the opportunity to join you in rebuilding and growing this amazing community. And most especially, for the chance to get to know many of you personally and to share in part of your life. It is a gift to know you. It's customary practice that when a minister leaves a community, that communication with congregational ministers, with congregational members, ceases for a period of time, typically a minimum of 2 years. This creates space for the community to reevaluate its ministry and establish a relationship with a potential new minister. For the health and well-being of TUUC and myself, I will observe this practice beginning August 1st. That means that if we're Facebook friends, I will be unfriending you on Facebook on Wednesday as an extension of this healthy boundary. I will continue to use the email address minister@tahomauu.com through midday Wednesday if you would like to send any correspondence. And then after that time, the minister address will be held in reserve for your next minister. Friends, in our time together, we talked about love, we talked about community, about our Unitarian Universalist values, and the direction of our faith. We spent time together building, not just looking to the future, but making plans for creating the beloved community we aspire for. I encourage you to keep alive curiosity and wonder as you continue striving to live out your mission. your mission of love, of compassion, of spirit and inspiration, your mission of diversity and of justice. This mission is needed here, now, more than ever. You are an amazing community who has proven time and time again that when you pull together and lean into love, you can move through any adversity. My hope for you is that you continue to grow, to open yourselves individually to the spiritual path that makes sense to you, and collectively to the possibilities of what you can be as a beacon of hope and sanctuary in Tacoma and all of Pierce County. That you center love in your decision making, that you keep asking who is not at the table, and that the future of your ministry as Tacoma Unitarian Universalist congregation is all that you dream it to be and more. I leave you with a full heart, deep gratitude, and much love. Blessings, dear friends. Remember always that you are whole, you are holy, you are beloved. Peace and love to you. Goodbye.
If you will join me in saying our words of extinguishing the chalice. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And if you will rise in body or spirit for our closing song.